you.
It's Dylan. He's gone. You were too slow.
How could you?
Keep going.
How could you?
Keep going. Ignore the pain.
I told you it was to trick you. I told you.
Where are you going?
See,
There's nothing to follow.
come on.
Before she first met him, she was not in a good place. Just a teenager, but not like the others. Barely functioning, she rarely left the house.
You could do it.
Her father's in-bell made sure of that. Only occasionally did she venture out on her own, collecting firewood and herbs. Errands out in the Orkney Plains. That was her world. Like this one. Barren and lonely.
You're getting stronger. You're getting stronger.
Senua, there will be times that you will feel alone and exhausted, like a strange little fish swimming against the tides of the big ocean. But have the faith to let go and let the tide carry you away. Because the whole ocean is your home, and it does not ask you to swim against it.
It's already disappeared.
Nothing lives here, not even you. It's in your mind. You think you can see it, but it's in your mind.
Where's the tree?
There he was,
Where is he?
the lone figure of a
He's there, under the tree.
swordplay under the shade of a tree.
You have to keep doing it.
She remembers the first time she saw him. To her young eyes, he moved as if dancing, and the world danced with him. The gloom lifted, and for the first time in years, she felt mimicked him, perfecting her own secret dance, wishing those fleeting moments of light would stretch out to last forever.
It's a trick.
It's an illusion.
It's not real.
Do you really think it's real? You want to believe it's real, but it's a trick. Where are you going?
Where is she going?
What is she following?
You can't even fight. It's just deception.
How does he so effortlessly court the world and bliss? If only she could do the same. See the world through eyes anew and dance with it just like he does.
What's your name?
Senua.
I haven't seen you before.
I don't leave home much.
Oh, Zeno's daughter.
I have to go.
Wait. Who taught you to fight like that?
No one.
No one.
Well, I watched you, and
You learnt all of that from watching me? You should become a warrior, you know.
me?
I'm Dillian. I'm here for the warrior trials. Come and watch. And bring your sword.
You can't put it into words. That moment when you look into the eyes of the one who is supposed to reassure you, make you feel safe. It only takes an instant. Fear swallows you before you have a chance to make sense of it. And darkness becomes a part of who you are.
You killed him.
But her world changed the day the Northmen took him from her. Senua knows that there's no going back to how things were. That there's nothing to go back to at all.
Stay still, stay quiet, hide, don't tell her.
Their gods can see into your mind. They will use this power to destroy you.
They won't stop me. I can still feel him.
Whatever's left of him, they will never let him go.
I'm not gonna let him rot here.
You're the one rotting here.
Leave me alone.
You will die here.
No.
And all your suffering will have been for nothing.
Shut up! Dillion? Is that you? I'll find you, my love. I promise.
Can you see him? You want to believe it. Is he real? Is he there? You're alone in these mountains.
Is that Dillion?
Nothing lives here. You won't survive. You met him by the tree.
She met him by the tree.
Maybe it's a sign, the tree.
What's he trying to tell you?
He's waiting for you by the tree.
The Northmen tell of a great hero. His name is Sigmund. His father's hall was built around a great tree, and one day, Odin comes and thrusts a sword into the tree, a gift to whomever can release it. Many try, but the sword only comes out at Sigmund's touch. His brother-in-law, King Siggeir, wants it, but Sigmund refuses him, so King Siggeir plots revenge. He invites Sigmund and his brothers to a feast, but when they arrive, they are met with an army, not a warm welcome. King Siggeir captures Sigmund and his brothers, steals his coveted sword, and readies them for execution. Death for Sigmund and his brothers seems certain. But the king's wife is Sigmund's sister, and she begs for mercy and implores the king to chain them up instead. He agrees. Not for mercy, though, but because he plans an even more cruel and lingering death. Chained to a tree in the forest that night, a she-wolf comes and devours one of Sigmund's brothers. She returns, ravenous, night after night, until only Sigmund is left. The next day, Sigmund's sister sends a servant with honey to smear on Sigmund's face. But to what end? Well, that night, when the she-wolf appears again, you'll never guess what happens.
It's venting. It's coming from there and there. What are they? Look. Where's it coming from? She started something.
What's happening?
Senua, imagine a sword that can slay gods. Its name is Gramr. It was forged by the god of all Northmen, Odin, and gifted to Sigmund, a great warrior.
I need this sword. It's important. Can you help me?
The sword appears whole, but it is an illusion. It shattered into shards long ago. It is said a great warrior can reforge Gramr by answering the trials of Odin, one for each shard. The roots of the Tree of Death will take you to new lands where you will face the trials.
Go to the shards. Go to the shard. Go to the shards. What's the shard? Find it. It's the metal runestones. It's in front of you. Find it. The metal. The runes. You need that sword. Go to the shard. Find the shards. Where is it? Find it. There it is. Focus. There's the shard. Focus. Focus. Use your eyes. Look. Get closer. What can you see? Go to it. It's not safe. Don't go near it. Move closer. Go. Come on. What can you see? It's in your mind. You can see.
I want to tell you a story about a god of the Northmen called Balder. The second son of Odin. He was beautiful, good and wise. He was fair of feature, he spoke fair words, he gave fair judgments. Light shone from him. Only good things were told of him. Yet he was the first of the gods to die.
You want to see what the mask sees? No, she doesn't. Don't look through it. The mask is here to watch you fail again. Be careful, it's not safe. Where are we? What is this? It's the same. It's another world. It's lighter. It's nicer. I like it here. Can we stay? Let's stay here. The bridge. It's not broken. It's fixed. What happened? The bridge is fixed. Let's cross it.
The Northmen tell this story about the death of Balder. It begins with dark dreams. Night after night, Balder dreams of his own death, and the gods fear for his life. So Balder's mother makes everything in the world: fire, water, iron, stone, earth, wood, beasts, birds, serpents, poison, sickness, swear an oath not to harm her son. One by one, they each make their vow, Neither weapons nor wood will injure him, Baldur's mother boasts. Only Loki, father of Hela, the mistress of death, is not amused.
He loves you. Thank you. Dillian. Dillian, we're here. Dillian. We're nearly here. We're coming. Dillian. Open the gate. She can't. Open the gate. It's locked. Try harder. She can't. The gate. She can't. She can't. She will. She'll find a way. She will. Go through it. It's dangerous. Follow it. What's behind the gate? Where will it take you? It's not safe. Dillian. There he is. There he is. What are you waiting for? Quick, find a way. Find him. Go through before he disappears. Dillian, don't lose him. Way too many times. Always let him disappear. Dillian, there is he. Where's he gone? We're in the wrong world. He's not here. She's in like to be in love. He's not in this world. He's in the other one. He's in the other one. He's in the dark world. The dark. The dark world.
The world once seemed so simple. Black and white. Darkness and light. Narrow dividing lines of our own making. Dillian taught her to see further. To peek through the cracks and see the worlds of color stretching away from the gloom. And Senua explored new paths into the unknown.
You can't go up there. You can't go up there. Not in this world. No. Not in this world. You can't.
The gods feast and rejoice and amuse themselves by throwing spears and stones at Baldur, striking at him with sword and axe. But he comes to no harm, whatever they do. The gods never cease to wonder at this great marvel. But Loki shapes himself into a woman and asks Baldur's mother, "Is it really true that all things promise to keep him safe?" "I did not ask the mistletoe," Baldur's mother confesses. "I thought it was too young." Oh dear.
Dillian saved you from them. Do you remember meeting him beneath the tree? He was the only one that didn't mind the curse. He loved her so much. Does it feel warm? Do you feel safe? Dillian loves you. The curse is strong. You have no chance, Father. Nobody will love you again, ever again. You broke him. You killed him.
You couldn't see the darkness within you. Your curse has claimed Dillian.
Poor Dillian. He didn't know. He was kind. Does it feel warm? Do you feel safe?
Dillian loves you. He's the reason she's alive at all. Do you remember what it was to touch him? Senua, you've got it. Why isn't he here? He's gone. He's in the dark world. He's gone to the dark world. You're in the wrong world. Feels like he's in the other world. The dark world. Without you. Do you think she remembers him? Your curse remembers. She thought she had light within her when she had. She is pure darkness. There he is. Where are you taking me? He's up there. How do you get up there? There's a way. There is a way up there. She can do it. You killed him with your love. She might not.
Loki makes a dart out of mistletoe and goes to the gods as they throw things at Balder. The blind god, Huth, was there. Loki asks him why he wasn't taking part. Huth says, I cannot see where Balder stands, and even if I could see him, I have no weapon. Loki replies, here is a wand. I will tell you where he stands. and Huth throws the mistletoe at Balder. It pierces through him, and to everyone's horror, Balder is killed. And for this, Huth is slain.
Was it worth it?
It's all your fault.
It's all your fault.
You're cursed.
You have blood on your hands.
You are guilty.
Was it worth it?
The Northmen tell how the gods mourned Balder. His body was to be burnt on his ship, but they could not manage to push it into the sea, and sent for a giantess to do it. She comes riding a wolf and has vipers for her reins. She pushes Balder's ship
Years had
into the sea.
passed since she left her father. She trained hard alongside her friend, Dillian. She saw things no one else could. Patterns, shapes, movement. An intuition that made her an exceptional warrior. Friendship turned to love. But the shadow of darkness never let her go. She was caught between two worlds. That of Zinbel and her past. And Dillian,
Do you know? Was
her
it
future.
You're still alive and Dillian's dead.
Two realities
Deserve to be dead.
tearing at her soul.
The Northmen tell how the gods mourned Balder. His body was to be burnt on his ship, but they could not manage to push it into the sea, and sent for a giantess to do it. She comes riding a wolf and has vipers for her reins. She pushes Balder's ship into the sea with such force that the ground shakes and the rollers burst into flames.
The curse
When
cannot-
Balder's wife sees his body carried on the ship, her heart bursts with grief, and she dies. She's put next to her husband, and the pyre is lit, sending the dead to hell. But even so, the gods cannot accept his death.
He led you astray. You should have listened to your father when you had the chance.
Why didn't you listen to him?
This love has tortured you. I have no time for this. Speak up. It's part of their game. They've set you trials to distract you.
They've set you up, and now they're going to watch you fall.
What if these trials mean nothing?
Laughing at you.
What if they take you no closer to Dillian?
You're letting this get in
What
pressure.
if they are just to tire you out, to make you weak before the battle? Do you remember the way he stroked your hair? Do you remember the way he felt?
What if they're all about wasting your time just to
in a way that nobody else
by
can.
minute by minute? What does she think she's doing? You're special. She thinks she can
They mean nothing.
be special. Could all be a waste of her time.
The gods are just toying,
Playing,
what if the gods are laughing at her?
messing with her.
It wouldn't be.
Overcome with grief, the gods send Hermod to ride to Hell and ask Hela to let Balder return home. All All the gods are weeping, he says. Are they? Asks Helen. We shall see if he is truly missed. If everything in the world will weep for him, he shall go back to the gods. But if even one thing refuses, Baldur stays with me. The gods send messengers everywhere. Weep for Baldur, weep him out of hell. And everything wept. Men, beasts, earth, stone, trees, metal, everything. Except for a giantess they found in a cave. Baldur was never my friend, she says. Let Hel keep what she has. The Northmen say that the giantess must have been Loki in disguise.
The curse. And now the darkness is swallowing you both.
She should have listened to her.
Why didn't she listen to her father? She thought she could defeat him. You had that loved you. You squashed it, strangled it, flattened it. The curse cannot be undone.
What if this is pointless?
What are you doing? Why did you think you could make this work? You keep seeing runes. You see runes everywhere.
The Northmen tell how the gods punished Loki for Baldur's death. They captured him and took him to a cave. They fetched his 2 sons and turned one into a wolf, and he ripped his brother apart. The gods used Loki's own son's entrails to tie him down, and turned these bonds to iron, and dangled a poisonous serpent over his face, so that its venom would drip onto him. Each time the venom drips onto Loki's face, he writhes in agony. The Northmen say that is the cause of earthquakes. A reminder, perhaps, that if even gods must accept death, then so must we.
I think she remembers him.
You killed the curse.
You kill the things that are most precious to you.
Didn't deserve this.
Dillion!
Be quick.
Dillion never much cared for the underworld, and looked dimly upon the druids, like her father, Zinval. I guess he took after his father, a chieftain who believed nothing he couldn't see,
Very careful.
and he happened to be blind. She felt safe in Dillion's arms, learned to see the world through his eyes. Slowly, the darkness that had bound her so tightly began to unravel.
You're going to fall, careful.
No, she's not. She's not going to fall. She's strong. She's steady. She can do it. You can do it, Senua. There he is. Be careful.
Go to him. Go to him.
That's it. Quicker.
Quicker.
Where's he gone?
It's your fault. He's disappeared.
Senua, your father cannot understand your darkness. He cannot see through your eyes. No one can. My own father was born blind. Doesn't have the faintest idea of what the night looks like. The word dark to him means as little as the word light. So someone is afraid of the dark. Should we fix them by taking away their sight? Would you give up the beautiful world that you, and only you, can see just to be rid of your nightmares? Or is this the price you pay for the gift you have? A gift that makes you so special in my eyes. Just another part of the person I love.
I left for the wilds to protect you from my darkness. Because I love you. But it made it worse. I'm so sorry.
It's done. You did it. But there's more. There's more. You're tired, but you have to keep going. There's still more. There's always more to do. It's not going to be easy.